Hi, my name is EKillian and welcome to my final presentation for organizational behavior. Today I'm going to cover a few topics that we've learned over the course of the semester and how I've applied them in my personal and professional life. I'll give some real examples and how my learning has impacted my organization and my team, and some next steps for furthering my knowledge in this field. The topics that I'm going to touch on are personality, decision-making and problem-solving, and leadership. In our textbook, Scandora states that person-organization fit is when the employee shares a really strong match between their own values and the organization's values. I definitely feel that I share the same values as my organization, which is a STEM university. We really want to make sure the student experience is as best as it possibly can be, and we want to set students up for success post-grad. So as an assistant director in the Career Development Center, this really aligns perfectly with my own values and my own mission. And over the last 2 years, as new leadership has come in, this has grown even stronger, and I'd say this is a campus-wide feeling based on both quantitative and qualitative data. There's really a strong sense of community, shared values, and I felt more ownership over my work with my new creative freedoms, which leads me to discuss job-person fit. Person-job fit. So Scandora tells us that this happens when a person's roles characteristics are really well aligned and matched with a person's own personality, their motivations, and their interests. A good person job fit leads to less burnout, and since starting my role 2 years ago, this person job fit has definitely increased. My supervisor has allowed me to shape certain aspects of my role to be better aligned with my own interests, and that's made me more excited and really more invested in my work. And a real life example is that I pitched a new student leadership program to my supervisor and my director in fall 2022. I included a full blueprint, even a budget request, and it was approved. And with that, I was given a huge level of both freedom and expectations, and it launched in fall 2023. I'm happy to report it's in its second successful year, and this has definitely increased my person job fit, and it's probably my favorite part of my job, to be honest. Another example, a real example of how personality has played out in my professional life is with the DISC assessment. So that's a personality test that we learned about this semester, and I took it with my entire office, which is comprised of 3 different teams. HR actually came and they walked us through our individual and group results, and that we use this to just get a better understanding of each other's communication and working styles, and it helped us improve our collaboration across all teams. And reading this chapter on personality also helped me understand how personality intersects with how we communicate and ways to work with different and sometimes challenging personalities. The next topic I will discuss is perception, decision making, and problem solving. And at my university, we recently found out that there will be a major restructuring within our division, which has so far resulted in my department, the Career Center, absorbing a key program at the school. This program is similar to a co-op program, and it's part of a graduation requirement that all students must participate in. Our director has really faced some hard decisions, and some that can't be made immediately, as we face constraints, some moving pieces, and waiting on other internal and external university stakeholders. Scandora states in our text that the factors that can delay decision-making are lack of info, unclear or conflicting goals, and the uncertainty of outcomes. And I've seen each of these play out in real time over this semester. Since taking over this program, we've had very little information on how this new restructuring would work, how long it would take, etc. And it's really made it difficult for us career counselors who are very student-facing, who work directly with students, because we don't have the answers that students are seeking at this time. And there's also been some conflicting goals and interests between departments, which has added just another layer of complexity. The major conflicts have been between the administration and the university finance departments, because this program brings in a good percentage of the money. And although we feel uncertain about what will happen next, I definitely feel that we all share the same, longer term picture, the bigger goal here, and that's for students to just have a better experience overall and gain more experiential learning opportunities that align with their career paths. The pieces of this process have also involved negotiation. So since absorbing the program, we've had to ask for more staff support, so more new hires, more resources in the form of money, and to be, fairly compensated for those that will be getting a lot more added to their plate. And learning about the facets of decision making and problem solving this semester really helped me to have a new perspective and understanding of how difficult some of the decisions at that executive level are made. It's allowed me to just appreciate the process and taught me to have more patience as we go through this major change as a division. This semester, we also learned about leadership and path goal theory, which Scandora goes over in the text. And I've used each of the 4 leadership behaviors on this slide behind this theory in my somewhat new role as a program manager of the student leadership. I have 7 student employees, and an example of each I'll go through. The first one being directive. I've had to give them deadlines and clear instructions so that we can keep the program successfully running. Supportive, I really pride myself on being extremely approachable. I really work to earn my student workers' trust, and I hone in on building that strong rapport with each of them right off the bat. Participative, I consistently ask them for their input and feedback, their opinions. I give them a voice in the decisions that impact them, especially because this is a new program and they have buy-in to help me really create it with their own vision as well. Achievement-oriented, path goal theory has really helped me raise the bar for my student employees. I've asked each of them at the beginning of the semester to set goals for themselves, and I help build their confidence by challenging them to raise some of these goals by reiterating their strengths and how far they've really come over the last year. Scandora also covered different levels of trust, and I have 2 examples that I'll discuss with my immediate director and a second example of our institute's leadership with our new president. So the text covers 3 different types of trust: calculus-based, knowledge-based, and identification-based. And my work with my director is an example of the identification-based trust. So over the last year, I've worked more closely with my director on some of the more challenging student cases, and we've built a trust within each other because we both share that same goal. We want students to get the most support that they can and help them reach their career goals. We've worked on several different cases, and some students need a little bit more support than the average college student, and my director has come to trust me on these cases, not only because I've proven myself with him, but also because of my background in mental health and working with people who experience disabilities within the career development realm. Another example of how trust and leadership impact each other is within the executive leadership level at our institute. So the old leadership style was very narcissistic. There was no trust. That previous president left in July of 2022, and our new one came in and took over. And the previous president really was just known for putting down others, not seeking feedback or even listening to her own cabinet. Employees were overall just not motivated. They were afraid to speak up. Their opinions and suggestions were consistently shot down and ridiculed. And students felt this too. So this impacted the campus culture significantly. And in this module on leadership, there was a video by Simon Sinek, and he touched on how employees at the bottom and not necessarily at the top often feel more stressed because they feel like they have less control. And I think this was a major issue during the previous leadership. Employees felt the stress because of the authoritarian style leadership of the previous president. But when our new president came in, Marty Schmidt from MIT, he started in July of 2022, he's just really done a 180 in regards to regaining trust and improving campus culture. He actively seeks feedback, he wants employee input, and he also looks to students a lot for guidance on issues that impact him. He's overall just really approachable, he's kind, he's relatable, and this alone I think is a perfect example of how big of an impact that leadership style can have on employee motivation, attitude, mood, and just overall culture. As we wrap this presentation up, I just wanted to go through the different types and characteristics of leaders that Scandora outlines. And they've taught me a lot about just the various levels of leadership in my office. My immediate supervisor has a much different leadership style than my director, and reflecting on their traits and relationships with me and my colleagues has really helped me communicate with them better and work with them going forward. This course specifically also taught me so much about my own leadership style. As someone coming into a new leadership role, I've had the freedom and creativity to build something really special, but it's been extremely fun and rewarding, but there really hasn't been a playbook or training since I created it myself. And Scandora's chapter on leadership, along with the other supplemental materials from our class and our discussions, have really helped me come into my own as I figure out my own leadership style. And lastly, over the course of the semester, I've definitely added new tools to my toolkit to help me with my next round of hiring student employees and the next steps that I'll take in further developing my learning within the OB field. Our module on personality included an article by David Rock that discussed cultural fit versus cultural add. And something that stood out to me was performing a gap analysis and hiring for the skills that we're lacking in. And this is something I'll use in my next hiring cycle. And I'm really excited to put that into practice for the spring semester. This concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for joining me, and I've really enjoyed our time together this semester.